So I normally don't actually like to do a whole lot of pruning. That's because I'm not actually really a fruit grower. I don't have like a fruit farm. We do have a lot of trees at this point. There's probably 200 fruiting trees, which is a lot. But they're all different things, and it's not really commercial, except we sell some persimmons and pawpaws because there are enough of those. This is a plum tree, and my inclination, because I'm not commercial, is more or less to kind of let them do their own thing to a certain extent. Certain trees, if they do their own thing, it won't work out that well for them. I don't know how else to say it. So I just want to show you a few things that I plan on doing with this tree. A few cuts I'll make, and then I'll show you the end result. So it's kind of hard to see, but there's a few stems here. If you look at the trunk there, there's a few stems coming off the main one, and these are from the rootstock. So this plum is a hybrid Asian/American plum called alderman, and these are the rootstock shoots. So I should have gotten those last year. I'll get them now, and so we'll take those off completely because we want this to be all alderman. But we also have just way too much branch confusion in here, and if you come in a little bit closer, you can see here and here, this is branches rubbing against each other in the wind, and it's starting to do damage to the branch there. I don't know how visible that is, but it's really considerable, and it is a point of infection, and you will see black knot get into those infections. So that's one thing we really want to get rid of, is the crossing, touching branches, any diseased wood. And then the only place, these are all these little green buds here. These are flower buds about to open. So it's about to smell really amazing. But probably all of these buds, only like maybe 5% of them would be needed, 5-10% for a full crop of plums. So we can feel free to remove a bunch of these. And the plums are only gonna be actually born on this wood somewhere around here, maybe a little bit there, but not too far into the tree because the light won't penetrate there once all the leaves are there. So these flowers down here probably aren't gonna get much light, and so they're not actually gonna bear fruit because the fruit is fed from leaves that are very close to the fruit. It's a misconception that the plants move the energy all around. The fruit is actually fed very locally from leaves right next to it. So if there aren't a lot of leaves getting a lot of light, that fruit won't develop, and it certainly won't develop sweetly. So we're gonna take out all those crossing branches. We're gonna remove a bunch of material from inside so that light can hit almost all of the surface area. And we might take out some of these kind of double branches in there so it's a more open vase like this tree was already trying to do. But these two branches down here are overshadowed by this big one over here, so they're not really going to develop much fruit, and they are going to take a lot of energy. So, but I'm not going to do all of that in one year. I'm just going to do some of it. And I think part of like the confusion this tree is experiencing may be because it was grafted, so it's already sort of not it's not a seedling, it's not a completely natural state. But even seedlings, they tend to get crowded and confused sometimes because their goal isn't necessarily to produce all these beautiful, luscious fruit. They want to produce a lot of seed. They don't care if the fruits are tiny and they're full of seeds. In fact, they'd prefer that. They don't necessarily want like these huge fruits with one tiny little seed in it like we're looking for. So we sort of have to convince them to do that. So I'll make a few of these cuts. With a small branch like this, I can still use these pruners. If I push it away from myself, this one's a little bit big. I probably should get some loppers, but with the pushing technique, you can still sort of do it okay. You just don't want to rip it. But there we go, clean cut on that large one. And then some of these guys in the center here I'll take off.
then I'll keep going here for a little bit and do a check-in once I'm done.
So I could have certainly removed more, but that's all I'm gonna do for now. That's gonna let more light in, let some more air movement to keep the fungal pressure off the leaves and the wood, let it dry out quicker, and hopefully get some better fruit. So, I mean, it's really not, I'm not gonna get into a whole ton of detail, and I could have done probably twice the pruning that I did, but that's just the kind of general principle that I use as someone who's not really trying to like really maximize fruit but wants a healthy tree. You know, the structure is the most important thing, which is not a whole ton of branches, not a bunch of narrow crotch angles, not a bunch of overlapping branches. So I took that one off because it was under that one more or less. And as many pruners as there are in the world, there are as many methods, although there are some that are pretty time tested. I'm sure plenty of people would tell me all the things that I did wrong here. And I certainly have pruned trees wrong in the past to the point where I thought it would be healthy for them and then they died. So hopefully I have avoided at least that this time. Two other things I forgot to mention. You'll notice now I took all the prunings and chopped them up on the ground. You can use those to propagate sometimes. I take those as cuttings, but if I have excess, I'll just chop them up and leave them in a loose pile. As long as they're flat, that's the classic chop and drop, and it is one of the things that permaculture just absolutely got right. The other thing is, another main consideration for pruning is access. So now here I can get into the middle of the tree to harvest whatever fruits may be here or see what's going on. And then on the back here, there's another spot where I can get into the middle of the tree. That's really important when you have actually, you know, a nice big crop to harvest. If you can't comfortably get in close to the center of the tree or into the area where the fruit is going to be, it is really a pain in the butt. So it's definitely worth it to think through, how will I be picking fruit in this space? Because that's hopefully what's going to happen with all this pruning.